Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. What are we covering in this chapter? In this chapter, we'll talk about WebP. It's actually an animated image format similar to GIF, and this is a plugin I wrote myself, and now I'm turning it into a tutorial. Let's first take a look at the effect. Let's check the effect first. Let me take a look at the blueprint under the root. You don't need to look at the specific details inside these, because this is a more practical course. Just listen to me for now. Press key 1 to start recording an image. Start recording multiple layers of changes. Key 2 ends all recording and generates the animated image. Then save it locally. Generate a dynamic image. Then number 3 is to load this dynamic image and then display it in the scene. Then number 4 is to release this dynamic image. Now let's take a look. This thing is simple yet difficult, but let's first look at the effect. We'll explain it step by step. I'll press 1 first. Now it starts generating this image. Generation finished. Okay, generation has finished. Let's wait for its callback. Generation finished. Now let's press 3. Then start loading. You can see our image has been loaded. Isn't it impressive? Okay, let's release it first. Then this thing, it's very simple. First, let me explain. UA5 is for 3D development, but what we say, enter D. That is our audio and video. So for this video, what exactly is a video? A video is a continuous sequence of frames, i.e. images. That's what a video is. So what is audio? Audio is the vibration of air. This is audio. Okay, now that we understand these two basic concepts, 奈涛们栖己之地，我耳搭海壁而系己. Dynamic change is simply a sequence of continuously switching images. So this is a dynamic image. This thing looks very simple. You just generate this dynamic image and then display it. But in reality, the engine does not support this feature. That means you have to extend it yourself. The engine uses UEC. As for UTexture, it is one image at a time. A single PNG or JPEG, right? You can just drag it in directly, import it as a UEC. This should be a relatively simple instruction. Blueprint should be used often. Okay, then what will this technology upgrade to next? It will upgrade to audio and video pull streaming. Yes, that's it. Once you get involved with audio and video pull streaming, it becomes very troublesome. You will use it often in digital blueprints. It will be used in charging characters. It will also be used frequently in charging live streaming. So this part is simple as this case study with WebP, then using UTexture to obtain the pixels in this scene like this, and then push or integrate them for use. I hope to expand your knowledge in this area by using a point to represent the whole. Okay, then there are many ways to obtain the pixel in the scene. This is related to rendering. Related to rendering, actually, we are currently obtaining them through screenshots. In fact, there is an interface, a proxy called fbank, bank of something round the street. That place can receive the final rendered pixels. And what we have now is actually implementing it by cutting out frames. One by one is also fine. Okay, then let's explain this very simple concept to everyone. The actual concept is very complex, extremely complex, because regarding this area of technology, we originally planned to teach everyone about FMPEG, but that is advanced knowledge, and I'm not sure if this course will have time later to cover it. That belongs to audio and video development. Just doing audio and video development alone is already a 2V salary position. And if you also know Unreal, within Unreal, you can do this kind of work. You need to understand this excellent major framework. In the market, no one actually talks about it. This excellent major framework. Of course, in this course, we will not cover this major framework either. We will teach you about these major textures, how we use Capture RD through render target, through major target, to read the video stream from our camera, to read the stream coming from our network. We will cover these things and explain them to you. But the major plate framework, unfortunately, we cannot teach you. This thing is very low level, particularly complex. You can simply follow the documentation and do it. But the underlying framework is quite troublesome, and often many people ask how to push RTMP streams or things like that. All of this is very complex because this is essentially, you need to achieve advanced development in audio and video, and you need to achieve advanced development in Unreal Engine. Now you often combine these two things. If your salary is below 20K, don't even bother researching this. The most common approach is that the audio and video development engineers make an SDK, then you integrate it Then you just need to take the excellent audio and video streams, throw them into this SDK. Then whatever comes after, push the stream. Video frames, audio frames, let the SDK handle it. Right, okay. So we talked a bit. It's a bit complicated. Actually, this chapter is still quite easy, quite simple. Just images. Just swap the images frame by frame. Then if you make it more complex, you can turn the image into an asset. Make it into this kind of asset and place it here. Do some custom serialize, CMO. This involves editor development, which we won't cover. We will only cover dynamically generating it at runtime or reading an image to dynamically generate a render texture. This technique is quite practical. This is our plugin, and our plugin, this PyT, is actually quite expensive, but actually this is the first plot I made, but actually the source code has already been placed here, because although this plugin is paid, it is open source. That is, it is the full version of the source code. It has been placed here, placed on our GitHub. Please don't ask me, where is your GitHub? That question. Just click here. Click this, documentation. We've talked so much. If you still can't find my GitHub, that would be a bit funny. Just click this, Appionation, to enter. Then let's take a look at this image. Then this is an image of Survival Web 2. It's very simple. Just use this proxy. It's one step. It's completely one step. We cannot generate synchronously. Because web generates an image, it generates a dynamic image. It takes tens of milliseconds. If you wait synchronously, okay, congratulations, it's stuck. So this one is very good. Put the previous multi-threading, one step, and this integration of third-party SDK, these LED, these two sets of content and smart pointers, all of these contents all combined together can be considered as one of the first relatively mature cases you've encountered. Then here, is it just recording? After recording, you can see we generated images. Right, look, images have been generated. Right, then we can take the image and echo it back into the engine at the same time. Right, I think this area of knowledge, searching for it online, at least I think it's still relatively scarce, because the native WebP might have it, but U++ this web might not have it. Because when I was learning this area, working on this part, there was nothing like this on the market. Then here are some anti-aliasing settings. Because we are using capital G or when capturing images, actually, sometimes some frames are blurry. But it's not easy to adjust, because it involves resolution sampling, which is quite complex. And here's a simple architecture of our plugin. For example, we built a C++ layer architecture. Then we wrapped a UE architecture layer on top of the C++ layer. And when you use it, you only need to use the UE architecture because we need to display images. So we also set up a subsystem here specifically to pass the image, generate and control the live title of this image. Okay, so that concludes this chapter. This section concludes our discussion here. So where is the official website for web? If there is still time, we can talk about it. The official website for web is in our document at M21-001. Here there are Chinese and English versions. Once we click to open it, it explains what web is. That is, WebP can compress the size of images. And it also supports animated images. Then it goes on and on about many principles. And actually, there are many references here, guides and examples, like these. They are already compiled for you. You can call this exe via command line to encode the specified content, decode it into PNG, decode it into a sequence. This is a program compiled from someone else's source code for you to use. We need to take someone else's lab, someone else's source and integrate it into UE5. We can use the previous. This is completely fine, but this will involve. So you will write your data to this hard drive and then read it back from the same path, which is quite slow, although it's just one step. We still want it to be faster. This technology should be used in the metaverse. And this level web API is right here. You can see it has some specific structures to describe the pixel data. The singleton of the encoder then initializes some things. These are all similar concepts. We don't want to go into detail because this document is quite extensive. We'll introduce each one as we use it. If you're interested in it, you can study it further on your own. Okay, since this is only 1 or 2 chapters of content, in fact, this entire course could be extracted. These 1 or 2 chapters could be completely extracted to make a full-length course. That would be perfectly fine, because there's actually no knowledge on this topic available on the market, and this English version. And if you want to download it yourself, you'll need to download it from this location, As for me, you don't need to download it because you can just use these things directly from my project. Look, these are the tools, and here you can download some source code and internal resources. Just download whatever you need. Also, please note, you need to find this one. Just look for it yourself. It's open source licenses here. Click the link, okay? Then let's leave this for now. We won't look at it anymore. Let's just look at the source code directly, okay? So in this lesson, we've gone over the basic concept. That is, what it is, how to use it, where it comes from, how is it conceived and how is it structured? Then, what kind of content does this chapter serve as? In our entire course, this chapter is still a bit difficult. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you, everyone.